Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an exciting episode of the Dogfight. I've been away for a while, mostly because of work. I have a job now, and I actually had to travel for that job, which means that I don't have a lot of access to like my recording stuff and everything, but I'm trying to figure out as I go. Anyway, we have a pretty big deal episode because the London Spitfire, our boys, our friends, they have won the Overwatch League Season 1 championship, and it's a pretty big fucking deal. And it's been such a long road, so I'm going to try to talk about that. I'm going to talk about leading up to it, the match itself, DJ Khaled's awful performance, and perhaps maybe what's next, and then I might stick in a little thing about British Hurricanes at the end, but mostly going to be talking about the playoffs. So the playoffs were pretty crazy, I think, just in terms of the amount of upsets. I think with the most recent meta shift, there were clear teams that you could just tell off of the quarterfinal matches were like, okay, this team looks ready to go and is able to handle the meta, and this team doesn't. LA Gladiators, for example, you'd think they would have had it, and maybe they actually probably would have beaten Spitfire. I shouldn't say probably, since reading a few interviews, it looks like they actually really did prepare super hard for Fisher and how he played, and their loss to the Glads in the first set was basically just due to them having no idea that they would play against iRemix and how iRemix plays until maybe like right before or something. So that's kind of unfortunate. But the real crazy part is, Gladiators fell, the Boston Uprising fell. I guess that maybe wasn't as much of a surprise. I don't know. It's hard to really rate Boston's worth, but the LA Valiant and the NYXL, two teams that were given buys to allow themselves to practice more and to really study their opponents. I was kind of surprised that the NYXL fell. I was actually not that surprised Lim beat the Valiant, because we've beaten them before. We've had really close matches with them before where we lost on Oasis, of all maps, right? So them losing, beating the Valiant is something that I can believe, right? I can be like, okay, they can realistically beat the Valiant. The Valiant. They played really well against the Gladiators. And then, but just to see the NYXL drop to the Philadelphia Fusion was maybe the bigger surprise. I think Philly definitely had it to where they made it competitive, or they could have made it competitive, but I think to see the NYXL just drop so poorly is really disappointing. It's really living up to that LW Blue curse, as well as just sort of the hubris of it all, I think. The whole sandbagging meme aside, I think, winning so much in the Overwatch League only to lose when it really super counted is really disappointing. I think it goes against just all of the talent that is on that team. So to have them lose was kind of disappointing, at least for me personally. I'm still really glad that Philly won. I like Philly. I love them as a team. They, instead of going, okay, we're not going to do all NA talent to try to, because we're an American team, we're not going to do full Korean talent because, that seems like sort of the easy way out. They brought in this international grab bag of people, from Russia, Israel, Korea, all over, several walks of life and everything. They then worked just tirelessly to ensure that they improved stage after stage after stage. And their hard work and dedication really paid off. They were able to go all the way through the playoffs, from quarterfinals to the grand finals. That's a huge statement, and they everyone from the Philly Fusion fans and the team should definitely be proud of how far they went from being just so completely underrated in the preseason. So it's incredibly cool to see that, and I was really excited going into the finals. I was really nervous. The Spitfire have been playing really well, but as the match got closer and closer, it was always that what if of like, well, what if they lose? What if they snap back to how they were playing before the playoffs? You know, what if they were making sort of all the classic mistakes that the Spitfire had been making? And I didn't get to watch a lot of the first set, but the Spitfires seemed to just be doing what they were doing all playoffs, firing on all cylinders, playing as this really cohesive, coordinated unit, really utilizing the flexibility that the meta and their players had provided. You know, Bedosin is frequently going on Roadhog or Tracer or Zen whenever that's needed. You know, Prophet is going from Hanzo to Pharah to I think he even went to Genji or Tracer. You know, what he even played Mei for like a push or something on defense. You know, he's just playing everything basically. You know, Fury is playing D.Va extremely well and going to Zarya and playing Zarya really well when needed. You know, I think the team was just able to really figure out how to recognize when to switch and when not to, and to switch to what. You know, just the all-around communication really came to this head in the grand finals, and you can really see that if you played a match side by side of like stage 4 Spitfire and grand final Spitfire, it would look like completely different teams, I think. And it was just really cool to see them already get into this head start of, okay, we already have a set on you, we beat you 3-1, and then they come out swinging for the second set, and they just absolutely crush it. You know, I don't think Philly ever really had a chance. I think especially once they lost that first map, it was kind of demoralizing, and you're just kind of like, oh, we might just lose this. And then, you know, as the match went on, it was clear that London was going to be the victors, I think. You know, they were playing just so hot, and they were playing with such precision that it looked so easy for them. And I have to give that up to not only the players but for the coaches. From interviews that I've seen and read, it looks like between stage 4 and playoffs, the team fixed a massive amount of issues. You know, I read that Gesture and Nuss actually fought a lot and they weren't getting along, which I think explains the disconnect between the tank line and the support line. You know, Gesture was always going in at the wrong times, and, you know, probably Nuss was saying, no, don't go, or Nuss would be doing something, and Gesture wants to do something else, and that would create sort of a conflict within the team. That conflict is completely gone. Nuss looked 1,000 times better during playoffs, and Gesture looked amazing. You know, that was sort of the form that everyone expected Gesture to be at. So to have Gesture reach that peak that he can reach, and have Nuss play really well and really clutch when it mattered, it was really nice to see. There was also some really good play just on control point maps. There wasn't a lot of going to 99% and then throwing that game or whatever, that round. There wasn't a lot of really poor decisions. All the decisions made looked like the right ones, or at least the most logical ones given the situation. You know, everyone just played out of their minds. Birdring looked back up to form, and he was in form consistently throughout playoffs. I don't think there was ever really a time where I saw him really falter. You know, he played Widowmaker really well. He also was able to flex a bit onto some other champions and play those well. So I think that it's really good to see that everyone sort of dusted themselves off after a really poor sort of second half of the season of regular season play, and then just really come out swinging in playoffs. And, you know, the coaches really help with that. The players definitely help with that. They put in all the work going off of what the coaches needed. And then they won, and it was a really great thing to see. Especially as a Cloud9 fan, you know, I was really down in the dumps. CSGO was struggling after they won the major. League of Legends took a nosedive because, halfway through spring, the meta shifted really badly, and then they just had no idea how to play anymore, it seemed. So to see Cloud9's Overwatch League team, a team that fans have continuously said is really dragging C9 down and is really harming the org because it's shifting a lot of focus away from other teams, even though Overwatch has always been a big main focus for Cloud9. If you look back before Overwatch League was even announced, C9 had an Overwatch roster and put a lot of effort into maintaining it and trying to keep it in terms of like a championship level. They kept on Surefour, who is still an amazing DPS player. They had some roster changes over the course of the history, but they still tried to get the best talent they could. I believe, not Selly, but, he plays for the Zephyr. They got Zephyr, who now plays for the Seoul Dynasty. He played for Cloud9 for a little bit. Overwatch has always been a team that Cloud9 put a lot of resources into, and it's not just because of Overwatch League. Overwatch League does make them maybe put in a bit more, but this has never been the case to where Overwatch was not a serious pillar of Cloud9 before Overwatch League. It has always been, and I don't care what you say. You can't dispute history, I feel. But like I said, it's really great to just see a Cloud9 team, especially Overwatch, since it is sort of a pillar team, win a huge championship like this. They got like a $1 million prize. They got this big ass trophy. So many highlight clip plays. Profits. 5K on the Tracer. His 3K on the Mei. He was definitely MVP worthy of the playoffs, as well as there were some really sick Poco bombs. I think Poco played probably some of his best D.Va just in the grand finals because of how he was able to really utilize his self-destruct. The supports were nuts. They were all just getting these really crazy reses off, and they were doing some really cool things, and I think it was purely skill for skill. And I don't think it's a thing of Philly didn't deserve to be there. They definitely did. It was just that London was a bit more skilled, and they played just way better. I don't think you can really take that away from either of the teams, so... But yeah, overall in general, the atmosphere was crazy. I loved all of the cheering fans, even though most of them were for Philly. I really liked everyone just going nuts whenever a play would go off. I loved how the stage was set up. I loved, just seeing like this huge stadium being sold out just for Overwatch. It was so cool to see. The DJ Khaled performance was really weird though. I saw a bit of it, but it made like no sense because when they announced him, I'm like, does anyone really even know his music? Because all the people associate him with is the "you played yourself" meme, and I think maybe a couple other memes. But other than that, no one really cares about DJ Khaled. I think he's a good producer. I guess he's a good producer. I've never really heard any of the music that he's produced when I come to think of it, but I would assume that he's a really good producer and a really good marketer. And that's what you want him around for. You don't want him to play his own music because no one knows his music. And I would imagine that music aficionados would not rate it very highly. So it was a weird choice, but it at least got some funny memes out of it. But moving forward for Season 2, I'm not sure how the Spitfire want to proceed. You can definitely make roster additions. I know I have claimed that they need to reevaluate the roster. After they played in the playoffs, I don't think that might be the case anymore. How they have definitely played and how the coaching staff and the management and the players all came together, reassessed a lot of their issues, and worked through them just in time for playoffs, as well as operating in a favorable meta. You really don't need roster changes, I don't think. Not in subtracting. I think you keep the same people on. I would say, if any, just add like 2 to 3 people. Add an extra tank so we can have maybe just a bit more variance in the kind of strats we want, just so we don't slump back into how Spitfire were in Stage 3 and 4, where we were very predictable. We would just always go dive, and everyone all automatically knew, okay, they're going to go dive, and they're going to dive like this. So I think just for redundancy and strategic flexibility, I would say get another main tank. Also, I would say get another DPS player. Prophet and Birdring are amazing, but in case one of them does get injured, like what happened in Stage 3 with Birdring, you need someone that can just go, okay, I can fill in and I can play for you without really putting the team at jeopardy of a loss. Especially if that person can play Pharah. Prophet's actually really good at Pharah. He's really improved since we started toying with the idea of playing her. He's really improved and he's gotten really good at her. I think that just shows his practice and his skill to be able to really master a lot of different heroes in one game. I can maybe play 2 or 3 okay. Him to master pretty much almost all of them that you see is just insane. But I think maybe a Pharah expert would be good, just so it can open up Prophet to maybe play some more picks that he's more comfortable with. I think that him playing, his Hanzo was insanely good. But also, just playing stuff like, Tracer or Genji. He loves playing those and he's really good at those. Maybe, just get someone's like, okay, we're going to play Pharah on this map. You play the Pharah, I'm going to play something that I'm more comfortable with and can better be equipped to do. And maybe, I'm not sure about the third person. You can definitely add maybe like a flex player who can play a various different roles, just in case you need an extra sub. It's more for redundancy and for safety. That's all I'm really concerned about. If someone gets sick, if someone gets hurt, that's going to really screw over your season because they have slimmed down to this 7-man roster, which I thought was a good idea. At least I think. I can't remember, but hindsight being 2020, it was a great idea because you had a dedicated squad just practicing with each other and building up that synergy instead of having to constantly be swapping out players for scrims and being really jumbled about, like, okay, well, I'm playing with this person, how do I play? Versus when I'm with 2 or 3 other completely different people. But yeah, I think that just some signings for redundancy would be good, as well as maybe, who knows, maybe we go into a map or a matchup where the enemy team's weakness is a certain champion that this person is just incredibly good at. If we sign this incredible Pharah player, well, you put the Pharah player in. Even if it's for one map, it's sort of like Pine with the NYXL and Control maps. You put Pine in because Pine is just amazing. He can shoot your head off as McCree and do all this other stuff. So I just want it for safety. Coaching staff, I think, is okay. I think this proves that they do have what it takes to coach the team at a super high level. They had a lot of problems. I think even in Stage 1, they had some issues that I wasn't super keen on that didn't really go away throughout the course of the regular season. And Stage 4 was a nightmare, honestly. But, to be able to get this team together, they were really struggling. They barely made it to playoffs. And you go, okay, team, we're just going to work our asses off. And we're going to win. And to really coach them up and to build them up to this point of they won the grand finals fairly easily is a testament to the player skills and the coach's skills. They're able to manage these players in a way that is able to get the most efficient, ideal result. And I think that what the coaches did is great. I have been such a jackass to the team, saying, every time they lost, the fact that they weren't really tightening up their issues, it seemed. I was really upset, and I really apologize for that. I was super critical of the team because of the pedigree of the team. Maybe I was blindsided by that. Maybe I needed to reevaluate how things worked, considering Overwatch League is now super different than Apex and how Apex functioned. I was considering Apex being sort of this direct correlation between Overwatch League, and Overwatch League is actually super different. And I really apologize. I've been kind of on an apologizing spree whenever I went into the Spitfire. Any sort of comments related to the Spitfire. But I just want to say again, I'm really sorry. I was a dick. I acknowledge that I'm a dick, and I was wrong. I'm happy to be proven wrong by my team, but I was wrong. So, yeah. So a final thing. So the British Hurricanes have been having a tough time. They most recently lost their match to Orglis in Hungary, and then were relegated to, I think it's the trials. It's sort of because Overwatch League is tier 1, Contenders is tier 2, and I think they went to, it's either PIT or it's either like pit or the trials circuit. So, you know, that really sucks. I think losing Craggy really did hurt them a lot, because Craggy was so versatile and explosive that losing that much firepower just really hurt how they played the game. You know, I have not been able to watch a lot of Hurricanes matches because of work, so I can't really say I can't say anything about the skill of Mikey A or Nesh, you know, the two new additions. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really say much about the roster. It sucks, especially considering they were the Season 1 Contenders champions. But I hope the British Hurricanes do bounce back. I believe in this Hurricanes roster because I believe that Europe does have some really sick talent, and that through the talent and the coaches who I think that are really good, they can get back up to where they were, basically. I believe in the Hurricanes. I believe in C9 and C9 Overwatch and their little spin-offs. It's basically C9 Overwatch, even though they're under different names. I consider them C9 Overwatch because British Hurricanes are a sister team to London Spitfire, which is a Cloud9 owned organization. So it's basically, it's complicated. People think it's stupid. I think it's fine. I actually like that it's a different brand name, so it has a different kind of feel, but it's still the same Cloud9 goodness. But I'm rambling, but yeah, hopefully the Hurricanes can fix it up. But yeah, I'm still super pumped about the win. I'm glad the Spitfire won, and I'm really looking forward to what they will do in Season 2, and I'm also just looking forward to the All-Stars and World Cup events in general. I know that, you know, like Profit didn't make All-Stars or the World Cup. I think a few of our players are South Korea's like stand-ins, like they're not starters, but they're like in the reserves. Maybe the team for South Korea like reconsiders after the finals, but I'm just really excited for the World Cup. I loved the World Cup last year. I thought it was just an amazing, brilliant tournament that had exactly what I wanted in Overwatch. A bunch of people from all different corners of the earth playing against one another and playing with each other, having fun, but also playing for some of that respect, you know? So I think the World Cup was great last year. I'm really looking forward to this year. And I really want to see if Team USA and Team South Korea go head-to-head again, and we can have another hype matchup. And we'll probably see a bunch of other really cool players. So yeah, that's all for me. Thank you so much for listening to this show. I'm Havokpus, by the way. Everyone probably knew that. I'm not sure when the Dogfight will return. We will probably cover the All-Star match stuff and the World Cup event stuff. But until then, thank you for listening, and I will see you in the skies real soon.